Hi everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host Jenna, and this is our daily show giving you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus insight into what it all means. And joining me, as always, is AMC Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Hey, Jenna.
Hey, John. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just got back from Vegas, as a matter of fact.
Fun.
Played a little poker, won a bunch of money. It was a good trip.
It is a good trip. I'm also joined with AMC Associate Editor, Amy Rose Eisenbach. Hey, girl.
Oh, hey, girl. How goes it?
How are you?
Good. John, you just seem to have Lady Luck on your shoulders at all times.
Actually, it works out pretty well for me. I do enjoy my Vegas trip.
Yeah, killing it.
All right, let's get started. All right, first up, could Christian Bale actually be returning as Batman? Well, according to a report over at Latino Review, it's a possibility. The site is reporting that Batman series director Christopher Nolan is taking over the DC Comics movie universe over at Warner Brothers. Now, the site claims that Zack Snyder, director of 300 and the upcoming Superman film Man of Steel, will co-produce with Nolan and possibly direct a WB Justice League movie. And they're trying to get Christian Bale back as Batman for it. The report goes on to say it's possible it might not be Justice League at all, but rather a movie version of World's Finest, a story that focuses on just Superman and Batman. In either case, John, what do you think of these rumors of Bale returning as Batman for Justice League?
Okay, the first thing let me address this first. We have to address the question of, is it true? Now, I've had a lot of you guys email me this weekend saying, John, have you heard that Christopher Nolan is officially running Justice League? Let's put a stop to that right now. No, he's not. That is not true. It's not official. Neither Warner Brothers, DC, Christopher Nolan, anybody has confirmed this at all. So you can't say it's official. Now, just because it's not official doesn't mean it's not true. But you just got to be very clear. This is not official. Now, the second thing we have to point out is this. I'm a big fan of Latino Review. I'm actually personal friends with El Maimbe, who's the guy who broke this story. He and I talk on the phone every couple of months. We have a really good time when we hang out at Comic-Con. But I do have to, all things above board, I got to mention this. The last two big scoops that have come out of Latino Review have proved to not be true. Latino Review was the first site to break that Harrison Ford had officially signed on for the new Star Wars film. Then Mark Hamill came out and said, actually, none of us have officially signed on yet. We're looking at it, but we have not signed yet. So that wasn't true. Then Latino Review came out and said that Avengers 2 and 3 was going to focus around the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk storylines. But now Marvel representatives have come out and said that's 1,000%, that's their words, 1,000% inaccurate. That wasn't true. So the last two big scoops have not worked out. So but they have had lots of scoops in the past. Lots of scoops proved to be totally true. So just take this with a grain of salt. Now, let's assume for a second that it's real. Let's assume for a moment that the Christopher Nolan running DC, going to try to get Christian Bale back, all that kind of stuff. Let's say that's a true report. Well, it does a couple things. It's surprising because it flies in the face of everything Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan have said. Christopher Nolan has stated emphatically he is done with Batman. Christian Bale has told us directly on a red carpet that he was never going to play a comic book character again. So if this was true, it's making a liar out of them, and it's flying right in their face. That being said, it also makes not a lot of sense because Christopher Nolan did his Batman universe that does not have room for supernatural or the superhuman. I mean, the beauty about the Batman films that Christopher Nolan made, it was that it was so, ingrained and planted in a reality sort of way, in a very realness. Can a Superman, an alien from another world with superhuman powers, really fit into that type of a Nolan vision? I don't know if it does. But even if that's the case, of course you'd be happy if Christopher Nolan is running Justice League. Of course you're thrilled if Christian Bale is actually coming back to play Batman. I don't think it makes any sense. I think it flies in the face of everything that we know. I think it contradicts all the statements we've heard so far. But if true, of course it's awesome. Anyway, that's just my point of view. Amy Rose, what do you think?
Yeah, I also got a lot of emails and stuff like, did you hear this? This is amazing. And I was like, wait a minute before we pop the champagne because, as you've stated, both Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan have said, you know, no more comic book, no more Batman. And opposed to a lot of actors and directors that say that, I actually believe them. I feel like there is credibility there. But, you know, say Warner Brothers came over with a truckload of money. Who knows? Obviously, the idea of someone like Christopher Nolan, who's pretty much been the only solid DC representation thus far. Obviously, that concept is amazing. Like, we were hoping that Man of Steel was going to be a great success, and that, you know, maybe Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan could set the standard for all DC films moving forward. That's been the heart of all fanboys and fangirls moving forward. But at the same time, I mean, first of all, until you hear it from the horse's mouth, it's not true. So let's not get too excited about it yet. But sure, that would be great. Christian Bale, by far my favorite Batman, no question. I mean, Christopher Nolan's take on Gotham was amazing, and I'm a huge Nolan fan. But that brings up another point. If he was to godfather this whole DC universe, sure, the fangirl in me loves it, but I also want to see his original work. So say he's, you know, a Kevin Feige role, and it takes him out of the whole other cinematic universe that he could create. So I'm torn on that. Would I love it for the DC world? Oh, hell yeah. But I do love the Inceptions and all the other amazing films that he's created. So it does kind of bring up an interesting point.
You know, you raise a really interesting point that I myself have said, and lots of us have said. All Warner Brothers has to do is back a dump truck full of money up to Christopher Nolan's house. And we've all said it. We've all said it. But here's the reality. Right now, anybody will back a dump truck full of money up to Christopher Nolan's house anytime he wants to let him make any film he wants. And look, I don't think he wants to make superhero films anymore. I think he wants to make his other films. And I'm so glad you brought up Kevin Feige. Because Kevin Feige, president over at Marvel Studios, we all think of Joss Whedon running the Marvel Universe, but it's not.
No,
it's Kevin Feige. And that is his 100% day in, day out committed job, not doing anything else. I don't think Christopher Nolan can do something like that for the DC Universe because he's an artist. He wants to make more of these amazing Prestige or Mementos.
He already has Interstellar happening, too.
He's got Interstellar coming. He's got all these other things to do. I just can't see how this makes sense. So it's two answers. I think that we both agree on. One, this makes no sense. But two, if true, we're going to pop champagne. So anyway, what's next?
All right. Fans of the original Evil Dead movie may have a reason to rejoice. At a recent press event for his new movie, Oz, the Great and Powerful, director Sam Raimi made the following statement regarding a possible Evil Dead 4 movie. He said, "I would love to make Evil Dead 4. My brother and I plan to work on the script this summer." Amy Rose, with a rebooted Evil Dead movie coming out soon, how would you feel about a return to the original Evil Dead world at the same time?
As a fan, ecstatic, because I love horror films, and I think Evil Dead is like one of the best franchises, and I love that it was both comical and, you know, serious, and it progressed to a more comical fashion. I love Sam Raimi, I love Bruce Campbell, he's the man. But as, you know, a new generation of fans, I think it is a little confusing. I mean, especially since they're claiming, you know, the greatest, the scariest film that you'll ever see, like, with this new film. But one important thing to note is that it's not a remake. This new Evil Dead fan is not a remake, but it is taking the same storylines and same, you know, kind of general story. So I think it's a little confusing as a fan, but as a new consumer, but as a fan, more Evil Dead, more Sam Raimi, more Bruce Campbell. Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I think a good way to put it is that this new Evil Dead remake that's coming out, which looks terrifying beyond belief. I think the word to attach to it is a reimagining of the Evil Dead. Okay, so let's put that aside. Well, actually, no, let's not. Let's get the issue. Can you have a reimagined Evil Dead original while continuing the existing Evil Dead with Evil Dead 4? Is confusing. They have to find a way around that. Now let's look at Evil Dead 4. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? A sequel to Army of Darkness? Are you kidding me? Of course you do this if you can. Look, Army of Darkness is one of the, I'd say, top 5 all-time cult classic amazing films.
All of them are.
They all are, and they're all so different. Like, the first Evil Dead film, so different from Army of Darkness. But Army of Darkness, and I know a lot of people say Evil Dead 2 is their favorite, or the first Evil Dead. I'll stand outside the box. Army of Darkness is my favorite of that series. It is one of the all-time classic cult films. It's brilliant. I would love for them to come back for Army of Darkness 4. And I think there is a way you can run it and run this new reimagined Evil Dead. Although I gotta say, I don't think I've heard anybody say they have franchise plans for the new Evil Dead. So maybe this is a one-shot, standalone
I doubt it.
horror reimagining. But I can't see them doing what they did in the original of starting to take a path comedically with it. I think they have gone dead tonal serious.
Yeah.
I think maybe they just have plans for this one. I don't know that
If
for a
it
fact.
makes
I'm
a lot
guessing.
of money, they're going to keep going.
Well, that's the rule in Hollywood. But yeah, Evil Dead 4, bring it on. I would love it.
Awesome.
All right, folks, it's time for that part of the show called Buy or Sell. What's going to happen here is that Jenna's going to read off a number of the other big issues in the world of movie news right now, and Amy Rose and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Jenna, what do we got?
All right, film fans got quite excited when it was announced that Brad Bird, director of The Incredibles and the last Mission Impossible movie, was teaming up with writer Damon Lindelof to make the Disney film 1952. Since then, George Clooney has come on board to star in the film, and the title has changed to Tomorrowland. The project has been cloaked in secrecy, but now a report claims the official description for the movie reads like this: a teenage girl, a genius middle-aged man who was kicked out of Tomorrowland, and a prepubescent girl robot attempt to get to and unravel what happened to Tomorrowland, which exists in an alternative dimension in order to save Earth. Wow, John, buy or sell this description for Tomorrowland?
This sounds wacky. I mean, but it's Brad Bird. I mean, and look, and as much misgivings as I have towards Prometheus, it's Damon Lindelof, who I still respect a great deal.
Yeah.
And so I'm fascinated. And look, when we've all heard the term Tomorrowland, it sounded like they were going to be referencing Disney.
Yes.
But apparently it's not. It's something completely different. And so overall, I buy it. I buy the subscription. It's fantasy. It's sci-fi. It's the mind of Brad Bird with the writing of Damon Lindelof and George Clooney starring. Yeah, I'm on board. I buy.
Oh yeah, I buy as well. I think it sounds wacky and awesome, and I love George Clooney, and you know, The Incredibles, one of my favorite animated films. Hopefully 2 is coming, we know, we all want it. Yeah, I also don't hold Prometheus against Damon Lindelof. He had me at loss and lots of other things, so I think it'd be awesome, buy it.
Okay, the next one, I love this movie. Wreck-It Ralph director Rich Moore has been doing interviews recently promoting the Blu-ray release of the film. When asked about possible sequel stories, Moore said that he and John C. Reilly have talked about the possibility of Ralph meeting other versions of himself from different games, possibly getting thrown into a big fighting game with other characters from different games, including the different versions of himself. Hope you all followed that, because I'm a little lost. Amy Rose, buy or sell the idea of Ralph doing battle with other Wreck-It Ralphs in the sequel?
Sure, bye. I just want more Wreck-It Ralph. So I feel like, you know, maybe this isn't the avenue I personally would have written, but I still think it could be really fun. And John C. Reilly, like, yeah, I think it'd be cool. Bye.
Yeah, I'm going to buy this as well. The idea of having like a Tekken versus Capcom sort of feel with Wreck-It Ralph fighting Mario or whatever, and then other versions. Like, hey, maybe there's a Wreck-It Ralph 2 video game and he meets that version of himself or whatever.
Cool.
I think it's very creative. Lots of different ideas you can do. So yeah, overall, I buy.
Pink and blue, Chun-Li, boom.
All right, good news if you liked last year's horror film Sinister. It appears producer Jason Blum is moving forward with plans for a sequel. Now, the original film cost a minuscule $3 million to make and took in over $80 million at the box office. John, buy or sell a Sinister sequel?
I'm going to sell it. I don't think the first film lends itself to a sequel. I'm all for sequels if they work, but I don't think the first film lends itself to a sequel. I also really like the first film up until the last 15 or 20 minutes, in which I felt they made a lot of mistakes and the movie kind of fell apart. Look, I'll be there and I'll give it a chance if they make it. I really will. I like Jason Blum as a producer. I think he's really innovative. But just for now, I'm going to have to say I sell it.
I'm going to sell it. I actually didn't see the first Sinister, so I don't have much of an opinion on the matter. I do love horror films, and it was definitely one of those movies I wanted to check out. But unfortunately, I heard from many people that it fell apart in the end, and that is one of my biggest criticisms with horror films. So I'm going to sell it. But I get it. $3 million making $80 million. Like, I get it from a studio standpoint.
DreamWorks Studio is preparing to develop a Merry Men movie based on the Robin Hood story. According to reports, Active Valor director Scott Waugh will helm the project that will focus not on Robin Hood, but on his supporting cast of characters including Little John, Friar Tuck, Maid Marian, and Will Scarlet. It's being said the film would have a revenge angle that tonally is reminiscent of The Dirty Dozen and Ocean's 11. Amy Rose, buy or sell a Merry Men movie?
I am gonna buy it. My first opinion was sell because I feel like they've done this story to death so many times. Robin Hood Men in Tights was awesome, come on. But I do love the story of Robin Hood. I think his merry men are awesome. And Dirty Dozen and Ocean's 11 were great. So if we take that kind of angle, and Act of Valor was great. So I do have faith in the director. So yeah, I'll buy it.
I'm going to hesitantly sell this one. I still have the bad taste of the Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe Robin Hood in my mouth, which is really a complete disaster of a film. And to me, the all-time greatest Robin Hood movie is still the one with the fox and the bear. Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest. I mean, that, to me, all-time greatest Robin Hood movie right now.
Movie.
So once again, I'm going to give this thing a shot, and I'll be very curious to see how it turns out. But for now, for me, it's a sell. Well, listen, folks, we've come to that part of the show for mailbag. If you have a question or a topic you would like us to address on the show, you can write to us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. And every day we'll select a couple of your questions and we will ask them on air. Jenna's got a few of them pulled out right now. So Jenna, what questions do we have in the mailbag?
Well, our first question comes from Mark Ashley. Hey, Mark. He writes, started watching you when you went daily, and I watch you daily. Thanks, Mark. Here is my question. Dredd bombed in the box office, making $36 million, but costing $50 million to make. And before the movie came out, they were talking about doing a trilogy, but it's killing in DVD and Blu-ray sales, making $500,000 its first week and staying on top of the charts. Could there still be a sequel based on how well the DVD and Blu-rays are selling, or do you think a sequel is dead?
This is a terrific question,
Great
actually.
question, yeah.
Dredd is one of those films to me, every once in a while we come across these amazing movies that needed and deserved to do much better at the box office. I can't even blame you people for not supporting it because the trailers were so bad, but the movie was absolutely amazing.
I can blame you.
Here's the thing. I don't think a sequel could get made based on the idea that the DVD made money, or that, hey, let's make another movie, and even if it fails in the theaters, we'll make the money back on DVD. I don't think they make a sequel based on that logic. But I know Lionsgate loved this movie. And they believed in it, which makes it all the more tragic that it failed so badly. But there could be room for the logic that, hey, if it got big on DVD, maybe that makes the popularity of the brand grow and another film could succeed because, you know, word has now gotten out that Dredd was a wonderful, fun movie. And that maybe if that word continues to spread and more people see it on DVD, that they might be willing to roll the dice that a second film might be more successful than the first. It's the only way it could happen. I still don't think it'll happen, which is a shame, but that's the possibility. Amy Rose, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it could happen. We loved Dredd, and you know, that's another perfect example of quality lost with bad marketing. Unfortunately, it happens a lot, and I loved Dredd. I do think that people pay attention to DVD sales. They might even do like a direct-to-DVD release. But one really great example is Arrested Development. That show got canceled just in a couple seasons, and it's coming back for not only more season on Netflix, another season on Netflix, but a film. So sometimes popularity does grow and they do pay attention to that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we could see another Dredd film. But you know, they do have a lot of other films in the pipeline, so it might not be coming anytime soon.
On a separate note, there won't be an Arrested Development movie.
Yes, there will!
No, there won't.
Yeah, I don't think
so.
People were saying there was not going to be more TV shows, more episodes
I believe
either.
there would be.
Well,
I
come on,
totally
Johnny.
believe there would be, but a movie's
Let
a
me have a
different deal.
movie. I want a movie.
We all want a movie.
It's
We
the
all
best.
want
The
it.
Bluths are the best characters ever. The Beth's family.
I want a date with Jennifer Garner. You don't see that happening either, do you? Anyway, what's next?
All right, Vic Andujar writes, hey, I love your show. You guys are awesome. Well, we think you are awesome too, Vic. Now that the Nolan trilogy of Batman is over, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt being the Dark Knight that rises at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, it's realistic to see him in a standalone movie. John, JGL is not Robin in that movie, but dude, he is definitely a form of all the Robins meshed together. The way he is portrayed in the film shows it. Anyone can be Batman, this is true. In the comics, one of the Robins takes over and later on Bruce Wayne comes back to reclaim his role. JGL would make a horrible Batman, but can you really say he won't be able to be Nightwing? Nolan would work magic with this concept. Do you guys agree?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't. Look, and the reason I don't agree, first of all, thank you so much for the question, but the reason I don't agree is, and I keep having to repeat this, Christopher Nolan came out and explicitly said in an interview with MSNBC, specifically said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in no way, shape, or form Robin. He was not an amalgamation of all the different Robins. He wasn't any of that. He was just his character, this cop, who becomes Batman at the end. He was not Robin. Christopher Nolan specifically said he just put in the name Robin there as an homage to the character and a wink of the eye. He specifically said a wink of the eye to the audience, saying, see, I referenced a Robin, but that he himself was not Robin. Also, don't forget, Christopher Nolan, and we talked about this before, has said he has no intention of coming back to the Batman universe, you know, notwithstanding the rumors that are floating around right now. So could Joseph Gordon-Levitt have been a great Nightwing? Sure, but not based on Dark Knight Rises. He was Batman at the end of Dark Knight Rises. And yes, I don't know. What do you think about that, Amy Rose?
Yeah, it was Nolan an homage and a little bit misdirection, because all of us, when we first saw it, were like, oh! I got really excited. I think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt would have been a good Nightwing. I do. I definitely agree. I don't think he would have been a good Batman.
But a Dick Grayson? Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. Great Dick Grayson / Nightwing. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't think that Batman would have evolved. But yeah, I mean, there's all these Nolan rumors going on right now. We'll see what happens. But we don't think he's going to make any more comic book movies. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do think Nightwing, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, quality right there.
All right, what else we got?
David Fries writes, hello guys, I really love the show. I was wondering if you could see X-Men and the Fantastic Four team up. I would think Fox would want their own Avengers type film. I would also love to see a Marvel Knights movie. Do you think either of these two movies would be made?
Yeah, we addressed this actually on the show a couple days ago. It was recently announced that Matthew Vaughn, who directed X-Men First Class and is producing X-Men Days of Future Past, with Bryan Singer returning to direct, is also going to be producing the Fox's rebooted Fantastic Four. Matthew Vaughn is now involved in both. I think it's clear. I think it is very clear that Fox is planning on paving the way to start having Avengers-like crossovers with their characters, with X-Men and Fantastic Four. I think it's an inevitability. I think they're going to wait maybe to see how the next X-Men works out, but I believe when they reboot Fantastic Four, I believe I have nothing to base this on. This is not official. I believe you're going to see some X-Men cameos in it. So I believe they're going to start paving the way. Amy Rose, am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think?
You're right, and I couldn't be happier about it. X-Men First Class is the first film that I thought Fox did a really good job with their Marvel characters. And Fantastic Four was just a joke, and it sucks because those characters are great. I really think Josh Trank is going to do a great job rebooting the franchise. I think he's a good director. Chronicle was great.
Awesome.
And just the hybrid of the two together, I mean, yes, please. So I think we are going to start seeing that, and Fox does seem like they're wising up. They're taking really good steps to kind of rival, Marvel, Disney.
Yeah. If DC's not going to do it, we will.
Yeah, boom. Yeah. So Marvel's just keeps climbing. So we'll see what happens, but I would love to see that happen, and I think it's going to.
Okay, Annabelle M. writes, you have no idea how much I love your show. Nothing else anywhere like it. Thanks so much. Well,
you're welcome.
Thanks, Annabelle. All right, her question is, Steve Carell has a new movie coming out called The Incredible BURT WONDERSTONE. I think it looks amazing. Well, so do I. How do you guys think it looks?
Your question is very well timed. I mentioned I just got back from Vegas. The reason I was in Vegas this weekend is Warner Brothers flew me out to Vegas to actually watch the film this weekend and to talk to the cast. Now, I am not allowed to talk about the movie right now because there's an embargo on it for another couple days, I think. I'll have to double check the embargo date. But I will say, meeting the cast was wonderful, and talking to them about the film was wonderful. These guys had a very, very good time making this movie and told some fantastic, fantastic stories. Jim Carrey talks about, you see in the trailers, he's in the best shape of his life, and he hates it. He said the things you have to do to get in that type of shape is stupid, and no human should do it, and I'll never do it again, which is great. But they all told great stories, and I will say this. How much can I say? I'll say this. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie again. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying whether I liked or disliked the movie. I'm simply saying.
Good implication.
Warner Brothers legal department. I am simply saying that I'm looking forward to seeing the movie again. So we'll just have to leave it at that. But listen, folks, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. But before you do anything else, and why I've got you, stop what you're doing and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and of course our daily AMC Movie Talk show. And listen, if you want to support our show, you know what you can do? Click that thumb up button. Give us a thumb up for it. Share it around. Leave comments. That's the best way to do things here. If you want an audio-only version of this show, look into the description of this video and you'll find links to iTunes and Stitcher Radio in case you want to listen to us on your commute to work. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And hey, go out to see a movie tonight. Run on over to amctheaters.com right now to get all your theater and showtime information as well as your movie tickets. And once again, don't forget to click that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up for the video as well. I want to thank our host for today, the lovely Miss Jenna Phillips. Jenna, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
I also want to thank, of course, our AMC Associate Editor of Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you. See you in the chat board, guys.
And especially thank you to you. Listen, guys, the most important part of this show is not what we have to say. It's what you have to say. Jump into the comments section. Leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics that we've covered today. Tell us why you think we're right or we're wrong. We read every single comment that gets left in there, so make sure you drop in there and leave your thoughts. Until tomorrow, my name's John Campion for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.